People don't really care about your presentation or anything until they understand two things. Learned and earned.
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
Anybody know what that means?
What have you learned and what have you earned?
Not necessarily that, but kind of. What else? They discount the presentation and the value it has until you talk about two main things. Learned and earned. Learned and earned.
What you learned about them?
Nope, it's about you. They don't care about your product as much until you're able to anchor it in with the story about how you learned what you know and how you earned your place in this business. Say it again. They don't care about your product or about your presentation or anything really about you until they hear and understand a story about how you learned what you know about the business and obviously learn what you do and how you earn your place in this business. A big aha for me. Russell Brunson talks about this a lot. He uses this thing called an epiphany bridge. Anybody know what that means? An epiphany bridge. What's an epiphany? It's like an aha, right? An epiphany was a big aha. They're going to have an aha about you based on what? A story you tell them. People understand through stories because your mind works in loops. Talked about this a million times, but your mind has a loop. So if I open a loop by telling you a story, your mind wants to follow the story until what happens? You close the loop. And so I want you guys to get very good at understanding this. There's a couple main pieces you want to talk about when you're going through. They want to understand a piece, and I'm not going to necessarily do this in the initial presentation like in the discovery, but they want to understand part of a backstory.
Yeah, like you do on your radio show.
Yep. They want to understand the backstory about what makes this presentation valuable and what makes you valuable as an agent. I'll talk about, right, what's your backstory that gives us a vested interest in your journey? What's the backstory that gives a vested interest in your journey? So for some of y'all, that's going to be what?
How you started.
Story about real estate and a story about why you're here. You're going to use that to edify you and your work ethic and our company and the product that we have and what makes us different. The story is going to understand the sizzle, right? The story is what makes it sizzle to the presentation and the actual tangible thing that we have. Some of us need to get much better at telling that story, which is very important, right? They want to understand your backstory. Two parts of that, external and internal. External is going to be for us more so here about our product, and the internal is going to be more about you. You guys with me on this? So if you worked anywhere else in real estate, you can talk about your backstory there, about how it ended up bringing you to here, and the value we provide as a company with our culture, with our systems, with our product, and our reputation. Why? Because the story is going to sell the sizzle to the overall stake. And the stake in this scenario is what? The chart, the presentation. Very important piece you guys talk about. You're going to talk about part of that. You have a journey. And the journey came, you hit a wall. Something about that, whatever it is, the piece there. Right? The wall is a problem you hit within your current opportunity that you started you on your new journey. That could be a guy in real estate wasn't really sure what to do, where to go, didn't have any guidance. But thankfully I was referred to this company here, and we have this product here that's very valuable. See what that's doing there? They're following the story and understanding the value of what we have here, and you're using the story to sell the sizzle, which AKs the value of what we have. They don't realize it, but what that's doing is raising the stock of the value subconsciously about what? You and also the product. Because you saw a hardship, you had some type of block, you weren't sure where to go, you interviewed different companies, no one had any guidance, no one really had anything, they just threw you to the wolves and to be on your own, but thankfully you found Sloan Realty Group, which had high level of training, high level of accountability, and a proven system, this here unfair advantage home buying system that works very well for consumers. Are you guys with me on this? First part's the backstory about you. Second part really is your journey and aka the wall. Wall is just what the wall that you hit overall, which is super important. I want you guys to kind of create a short story about this overall. Right? The epiphany you experienced, actually be number 4, be the epiphany. The epiphany is your aha. Which is like, wow, they had something special here. I found this system they have here called the unfair advantage home buying system. Have this system here called the guaranteed sold system. You have this system here, we buy houses for you. Cash within a couple of days, whatever it is, right? And we talk about the value here of this epiphany of why you're here and why it makes sense. Because here's the deal. You have to explain to them why you had an epiphany for them to have an epiphany. A lot of times we're expecting them to sell it, to be sold on our system, but you're not telling them why you're sold in the system. That transfers energetically overall in terms of what that is. Does that make sense there? 5 is part of the plan. I'll teach you this later again, but I want you guys to have part of the plan. The plan is how you decide that you're going to work this system and you'll be the absolute best agent you can be. Right? This is when you tell your story about how hard you work and how much you study the marketplace and how you've really worked hard to make sure that you're an expert in this market. And you have what? Taught this last week. Market knowledge. You have a network of lenders and things like that. And so you've done the work here to help bring that piece to them overall. 6, you're going to talk about the conflict. What do you think the conflict is? How do they call it throwing rocks? What am I doing there throwing rocks? What does that mean? What do you think throwing rocks means? Throwing rocks at my competition. Okay. So the conflict is the old school model of how most agents operate with a single agent trying to do everything is not very efficient. And so the problem in the industry is agents who try to do everything aren't efficient and they don't bring great results to their clients. And so I was attracted to how this new school iPad 2 in a world of old school cassette tapes is much different. You're telling these stories in a way about what am I doing here by telling this conflict story and throwing rocks at my enemies? Differentiating, I'm making them irrelevant. That's how you use and tell a story to make your competition irrelevant. I'm not necessarily doing that because I'm telling a story. Does that make sense? I'm not pitching them on what that is, which is important in that scenario. 7 is the achievement. The achievement's how we use this proven system to establish dominance in the marketplace, being the #1 real estate team in the area, the top 60 in North America, and how we've been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, and all these other things with this proven system and product that we have. If done right, this is more powerful than the presentation. Because what's it doing? You're selling the value of the presentation and of you in the scenario. And you're anchoring in with your energy why you're a fit for this and why you think it's the best thing for you. And number 8 is transformation. The transformation piece is about them. This is how we're going to help you with the transformation using this system, the same exact thing that we have here overall. I wasn't going to teach you this because we're a little bit over time in what we're doing, but I want you guys to understand, like, how can I add more stories in my piece to my clients? Here's the thing. They're going to remember your story, but they're not going to remember the ins and out, total basic, I take it, what's the word that I'm looking for? They're not going to remember the details about your presentation and what every single thing does, but guess what they will remember? The story you tell them. Yeah, half of y'all ain't going to remember the shit I talked to you about today, but you remember me talking about the dude who was the waiter who took 29 minutes to take my order. Why? Because it's a story. It's how the brain keeps that involved, and the brain anchors that in based on the story. And so where can you tell more stories at a little bit better for you in that piece?